Hello everyone, Resonance here with another long-winded introduction, and today I've got an exclusive Patreon commentary for Dmitry, one of my Exalted tier supporters. Thank you so much for the support, Dmitry, as well as the support from everyone here. I really hope that you find my commentary helpful, Dmitry, and that everyone else who watches it also finds it educational. For the others, it would definitely help me to know who and how many of you actually read my Patreon posts. It would allow me to better structure my rewards, which I'm still tinkering with and updating. In the meantime, don't forget to go to your Patreon account settings page and click Connect to Discord to get all sorts of other exclusive perks. I'd like to see more patrons in the subscriber chat so I can get to know all of you. One last quick note before we get started is that the patron who requested this commentary is quite good at Age of Empires 2, so I was a bit more blunt than I usually am when it comes to coaching. At this skill level, it helps to provide a more direct reaction, whereas when it comes to newer online players, I have a very different style. Since Dmitry was okay with me sharing this, I wanted to give you all something special as my thanks for being extra supportive after my medical absence in November due to those California wildfires. The next update to Resonance Bot is still coming. I just have to catch up on 3 weeks of missed time and regain my lung capacity. Big shoutouts to everyone who took the time to leave a like and a nice comment on my recent Pokemon overview. It means the world to me. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump straight into the recording. A Patreon coaching commentary was requested on December 16th, 2018. Thank you so much for the support, Dmitry, and I hope that you find my commentary helpful. For players lower than your skill level, I offer detailed lesson plans and coaching workshops that are highly specialized. But since your skill level is quite high, I will focus instead on the general thought process of the game and your strategy, as well as all the little things that you could do to optimize your play. These are going to be very important tips to keep in mind. Since I gave you 90 minutes for the voice call instead of the standard 30-minute maximum, I have selected a replay that you requested from your YouTube channel. This is one that we discussed in great detail, and one that I think that you could benefit a lot from the commentary, so again, I hope you enjoy it. The extra 60 minutes was allotted in my calendar for your coaching specifically, so I hope that you really enjoyed the significant extra free time. If you would like me to provide my commentary on another game, then you may request it as well for the next month, and we'll figure out the details then. Keep in mind that for a player of your skill level, my commentary may be a bit more blunt, but that is purely for educational purposes only. I really appreciate having you around, Dmitry. Without further ado, I'm going to watch the replay and give my thoughts as we go. So, right off the bat, I can tell that you're very good at the fundamental basics of the beginning of Age of Empires 2. One of your houses is slightly too close to your town center, but that doesn't really matter. You've got your sheep underneath the town center. The villagers are not actually split between them, which is great. Your actions per minute are quite high. The lumber camp placement, we saw you hesitating a little bit with that, but you ended up picking the correct spot for it, which was a sort of concave shape. And that way, as the trees recede away from you, your villagers will not have as far of a walking distance. I see that you are paying, I think, a little bit too much attention to your scout. It's great to see you actually using the waypoint system on the scout, and that you've hotkeyed it to 1. But when I play, I also hotkey my scout to 1, but I usually either queue up the waypoints on the minimap, unless I'm going for like particularly precise scouting, or I just, again, move it with the minimap. I would only look at my scout and move my camera over there if there's something on the minimap that I see that I need to check out, or as we get into the later stages of the Dark and Feudal Age. The reason that I do it that way is because I don't want that to divide my attention away from having the most optimal Dark Age economy possible. And it's really important to have the most optimal Dark Age economy possible, especially at your skill level, since here, every little advantage counts. I see that you tried to put the mill right up against the bushes. Mill placement on the bushes, it can lead to you having a bit of extra food going into the feudal age. So you actually, in this case, for this specific rectangle shape berry patch, you'd actually want to build that mill 1 tile back. I see you're building 2 houses right now in your build order. I suppose that's fine. I don't think that you necessarily needed to build a second house there, but if it saves you some idle time, that's alright. If the build order is super optimized, then you won't have a sheep decaying. It looks like you don't right now. Okay, that's good. And now the second boar is coming in. I know the Aztec's eco bonus can kind of mess with that. You've had a tiny bit of idle time in your town center, but it's been mostly fine. Your build order is solid, definitely. The boar lures are solid. Your scouting is really great. You're scouting in a circle around your town center. Let's see, how much food is remaining on that other board? We can't see it in the video, but that's fine. Yeah, it looks like you're going for... Ah, see, there we go. So this is when the mill placement starts to become, like, a bit of a problem. You're not really going to notice it until you do all these little things. But, for example, the villager at the back has to walk so far. And even the villagers... Every villager's not in the corner has to walk quite a lot, and they get bunched up on each other. And that's because there's not a one-tile space from the mill and the berries. Now, sometimes you want the mill adjacent to the berries at the corner, and mill placement is super duper complicated, but yeah, the bunching up of them and the tasking of the villagers on the forage bushes will help you just a bit. Like, I don't think that you want to task a single forager to the actual, like, back bush, the one that's so far away and they just have to walk. You'd have to kind of get a good feel for where the mill is and how far the villagers have to walk. I see you're putting in a barracks right now. Mining camp timing is good. Again, there's like a little bit of idle time in the town center that we can iron out. Let's see how you handle this sheep and boar. All right, nicely done. Yeah, and you're scouting your opponent at the correct time too. I mean, you really have the fundamentals down, and that's fantastic to see. So, the thing is that Voobly is a tremendously competitive environment, so it's obviously expected that you're going to have your ups and downs, especially considering that Voobly is full of players on alternate accounts who are way better than they may seem. So that can definitely deflate your rating. I think that you're very skilled. We see a bit of idle time here. I feel like it's possible that you might have too many villagers on forage bushes and no... well, I don't know. It's difficult to say. Because I guess you're going for a drush, so it'd be difficult for you to like lure any deer. Because I noticed that the feudalation timing is just a smidge off, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. So, all right. So you're scouting your opponent. Good juke on the town center. Yeah, you spend a lot of attention early game on that scout, but I think your build order is fine anyway. But it could be improved a bit, I think, if you spent like the first 5 minutes like mostly doing it on the mini map, except in some cases. Okay, all right, the militia are coming down. I think it's might be useful for you to learn the hotkey to jump to your barracks, or just use a number hotkey for that. See here with the wall off, I would have included that gold mine as part of the wall off right there, that 4-tile gold. I think that you would want to actually have the houses connect with it. It would save you a bit of wood, and it would also allow you to mine it. Let's see, alright, you're being attacked by a wolf right now. It's difficult to see. Your opponent incorporated the gold mine into the wall off. That does matter. See, times of the essence here, otherwise I'd say kill the wolf before it does too much damage to you. But obviously you want to get in there before the wall comes up, and your opponent did actually go for a big wall off here, which will absolutely cripple his economy. Alright, you're in the feudal age. I think... Okay, so you're doing some harass on the villagers on the deer, slow down his eco. I think it took like a bit too much damage there on the scout, but it can be tricky with that. I think that, there's just so many houses at the front that the archery range placement is a little far, but that's fine. Yeah, this is one potential thought, is that it's going to take a long time for your archery range to actually come up because it's so far away. I do like how you're retasking your villagers to wood. That's good. That villager on gold in the top corner, the one that's walking the furthest distance, I think could be reassigned. Yeah, so here I can understand why during our call you mentioned that getting the Men-at-Arms upgrade was potentially a mistake, considering your opponent had a full wall-off, and I'd be inclined to agree. The thing is that Men-at-Arms in the expansions do indeed have a +1 bonus attack versus buildings that they did not have before, and +1 extra, which is quite good. So, Men-at-Arms are a lot better at destroying Palisade Walls, and Palisade Walls got nerfed so very hard. Quite a bit of gold in the bank, but you're going to need that for your... you're obviously going to need that for archers, which looks like you're going into a 2-range transition. I think 2-range transition is fine. Yeah, all these villagers that are... Yeah, see, this is the thing. You're spending a lot of time focusing on your military units, and as weird as it is, I mean, Age of Empires 2... I think you need to spend a little bit more time early on focusing on your economy rather than your military buildings. And when I look at where your camera is positioned all the time, the player that has the most resources is going to win usually. And all your villagers on that mining camp are all tasked, except for like 1 or 2, onto the same tile of gold. And they should be spread out a little bit to optimize that. It's something I'd be happy to show you later if you're interested, but, you know, again, I can only allot so much time per patron, and you're a really new patron. I'm very glad to have you, of course, and happy to do more coaching with you in the future. So, yeah, this is a really long call. Economy balance is pretty decent here. You're applying a lot of pressure with the military units. I think that's one thing that I typically see around this elo bracket is that these players can rush really well. They got a really good build order, but I think they focus like so much on the military side of things that they're not optimizing their economy, and that would allow a player like myself to, even if I, have slightly worse micro perhaps, then I will still end up coming out on top in the end because I have a larger economy and a better overall strategy. Now, I like that you're coming up here to apply some pressure with archers. I don't, you could make a very fair case that the men-at-arms are not a mistake because the archers will allow you to pressure over the wall. Your opponent is clearly going for a very defensive build. He's not attacking you at all. I mean, this gives you complete map control that you can do whatever you want with. And, ooh, was it possible to stop that villager there from building that house? That's difficult to say. I wonder if there was another spot you could have pressured instead. Maybe... because you want to make sure that your archers will actually be able to pressure over the wall if your opponent tries to build a house. And the range in the archers can be a bit tricky to deal with. Your opponent making skirms, yeah, that's good. We gotta watch your military units here. See, in this case, yeah, you want to immediately focus fire down the military units and just let your opponent do a little bit of walling. Alright. So we're finally getting to the point where I can see definitely a lot of things to improve. The secondary lumber camp, by the way, was great. You do definitely know what you're doing. When it comes to these archer skirm wars, you want to focus fire down the archers and then the skirms, because the skirms just waste a lot of damage. You took a lot of free damage on your army there, but again, you're going to come out on top of this engagement, and you just have like a truly decisive lead. So if you wanted to play this aggressively, let's say you get the men-at-arms upgrade, you go to the double ranges. What you would want to do is, since you've got 200 stone in the bank, I think you would just send a couple villagers forward. I don't think you need to send like 4, and you just want to drop a watchtower just to prevent your opponent to be able to build more walls, and that way you can get in there and bust them down. But it looks like at this point in the game, oh, this is an excellent market timing. Well played, Dima. This is good. So yeah, at this point in the game, I think that you're still gonna get to the castle edge anyway, so I think you're fine. Yeah, you actually busted down that anyway. You going for men-at-arms was fine. You got through it. The buildings are so nerfed in the expansions that aggressive play like this is really, really favored. And your playstyle here is good. I think that mixing in some skirms with your army would make it like slightly less difficult to counter. I'll see here, I know you're trying to pick off some villagers, but you're taking a lot of free damage. I'm really wondering if it's better or not to pick off the skirms, but I think actually, yeah, you should have focus fired down the 3 skirms when they were there, before there were reinforcements. That's gonna take a lot of practice, and that's really what you need, is you just need a lot of experience. And this is when most people get burned out with Age of Empires too, because it's a fundamentally overwhelming game. It's old in that the gameplay can be a bit archaic, but that's what makes it so interesting, at least to watch at a competitive level. But there's just so much stuff you have to do, and you have to commit so much time to it. And a lot of players tend to find that unrewarding at a point, because the skill level, like the skill gap is just so high at a point, and the community can be pretty unforgiving in some regards. But here what happened was, because you didn't pick off those 3 skirmishers and went for the villagers, yeah, I know you wanted it to the point of a rush, maybe to damage your opponent's eco, but you could have done more damage to his eco by exploiting your opponent's mistakes there. Yeah, see, this puts you in like a absolutely really like far behind position. If I was casting this game, I'd be like, okay, the blue player's in big trouble now because he lost all of his military units in a trade that didn't need to happen. But like, if you picked off those 3 skirms before reinforcements arrived, because you could have done that, then the reinforcements arrive, and you probably could have picked off the reinforcements. And in this case, you need to focus fire down the individual skirmishers as they come, and you don't want to be wasting your arrow fire on them because they've got that big attack bonus, and you just have to pick them off. But again, eco management's good. I like that you're getting the gold mining upgrade. I like that you've got a bunch of wood stockpiled. Since you did not opt to go for the tower, which I think was fine because you got in there anyway, this means now when you get to the castle age, your first thought should be, I'm going to put down another town center. So what happens in a case like this is you end up going for mass archers, which allows you to get to the castle age at a reasonable time frame. And I gotta, again, really give you kudos for the market placement. Also, you don't need to drop a tower if you can somehow change your eco management to get fletching a bit earlier. Because then you can, again, deny the wall. The tower does help, though, and that's why the towers are insane. I feel like you have far too many gold miners now for the future, and that's really going to pile up when you might need... well, we'll see. When you might need additional food for upgrades, because I think you might have trouble affording the Bosa upgrade, which I'd like to see immediately, as well as Crossbows with Bodkin Arrow. So your opponent is definitely... I'm just going to pause for a second. Your opponent is going to definitely get to the castle age slower than you because he's going almost mono skirmishers. And so your thought immediately should be, okay, so I'm at a slight military disadvantage here. Slight military disadvantage. My opponent has mass skirms, so what I want to do is I want to build my town center immediately. I want to get Bowsaw, and I want to get an economy advantage and snowball the game out of control. Because when your opponent's playing this defensively, and they're all bottled on their base, and he's got all these skirms, then you have free reign over the map to, mine some resources. Now, obviously, it's too early for you to do that, but put down a second town center. Put it in a place that protects your gold, your wood, and get an eco advantage, because the skirmishers cost food, they cost wood, and you're just not going to be able to apply pressure here. Like, this is, it's like trying to climb Mount Everest when you're throwing crossbowmen and archers at someone who is making, like, strict hard counter units to you. Okay, Siege Workshop. It's good that you're using your build hotkeys. Those are way more important than the jump to building ones. And, when in doubt, just use your other control groups, like, the numbers, right? Okay, so the Bosa upgrade, yeah, you can't afford it because you got too much wood. And I see 7... Okay, I see so much wood. And I don't see a second town center. You could have even put down 2 town centers there as a potential option. Because I don't think your opponent's getting to the feudal age for, like, another 2 minutes or so. Which is a big mistake on his part. I can't see his perspective, but that's not good. Your opponent really overcommitted to skirms. Like, really overcommitted to skirms. And obviously, like, you going for Mangonel here is great, but... And getting a gold mining upgrade is great. But I see an opportunity here to get an insurmountable economy advantage. It's not like you need to kill him right now. You're in no rush, if that makes any sense. And that's just going to take... It's going to take a lot of time of working together and watching some of my commentaries, as well as playing, is to get a better sense of what the game situation is. You have a lower score than him. He has a military advantage. I don't think you're in a rush to kill him. So all these mangonels you're making, I've noticed, by the way, that even though you got gold mining, which is great, you actually still do not have enough gold miners to sustain... Yeah, you still do not have enough gold miners to sustain Mangonel plus crossbow production. And I'm really shocked that you haven't mixed in any skirms at all with your army, because they make great meat shields against the opposing skirms, while your crossbows can do the damage. But you've got a colossal tech lead, so you could... I'm assuming he just dies right here. But look at this. While he is supposed to be dying, there could have been another town center this entire time without compromising your build order, because that stone is not being used, and that wood's not being used, and it's 28 minutes in the game, and I don't see a second town center. It's 28 minutes in the game, and your opponent is still in the feudal age. Holy moly. This guy, this orange fellow, there's no possible way he can win this game, as far as I'm concerned at this point. You just have to put down a secondary town center and not neglect the eco. Yeah, your playstyle is just so aggressive. It's so aggressive. And that's fine. Everyone has a different playstyle, but there's no point in your build order and strategy, which you're executing very well, in which a second town center does not fit in. You've always been able to afford it the entire time, and I hope that that's like the main thing that you take away from this. Alright, yeah, so you should be able to huff and puff and blow this wall down. It's good to see you changing your Mangonel's focus fire away from the gate, because the gate's got a lot of armor. Yeah, just mashing those crossbows. I don't know why there aren't any skirms mixed in with your army, at least... Oh my god, okay, he's transitioning eagles. Okay, yeah, then you wouldn't want to make skirms in that case. I mean, it makes sense that he's doing that. I can't tell, really, because the map's kind of small. I assume he has a back gold. It looks like he's got one in the back right. Yeah, he's going eagles. Wait, you saw that eagle. So, at that point, yeah, you can still keep massing crossbows, but... Oh, yeah, he just has, like, he's got such a counter army. Oh no, oh no, no. Okay, but yeah, the mangonel's like super exposed. His guys are split. Yeah, you gotta protect the mangonel. Good micro, good micro, good micro. Oh, and he's dropping castle. Yeah, so your opponent was like mining stone. Nice, you kept the mangonel alive. In the end, obviously, your crossbows got trapped over there on the side, which is unfortunate. It's really difficult to get that level of control down really well. So at this point, you are in absolutely like a terrible position because that was a pretty mangonel shot. Good lead him on. Because you're taking so much damage from this castle. Like, okay, that was a really good mangonel shot. You just gotta back up and play defensively because now you're on the back foot at a colossal disadvantage. And when you see your opponent, it's interesting. I feel like you actually haven't watched that many of my videos. Because I know that some of them feature like lower skill level players, and I need to relabel the videos to make it a little bit more obvious. But yeah, you can see a lot of 1v1s that I cast that are viewer games in which I cover these concepts in detail. I do it all the time. And yes, 31 minutes in the game, you don't have another town center. You gotta 32 minutes. There's no build order strategy or anything outside of cheese in which this is going to be the way to win. I guarantee you your opponent has another town center now, and he was able to heavily mine stone, and his castle timing was so slow. I can understand why you weren't able to breach and kill him there, but at this point it's like stop crossbow production because he's making nothing but counters to that. Absolutely nothing but counters. So what would you do? Oh god, yeah, see this TC's it's so late. It's so late, and you wouldn't be able to kill all these villagers with that Eagle Scout if you had that TC down earlier. And why is there not a second town center coming down right now? So, yeah, you're in the Mayans. You're in the Castle Age. If you had plumed archers actually have a +1 bonus. Oh, do not pressure him. Do not go in. Do not go in. Do not. Play defensively. That town center placement is just, it's gonna die. He's making eagles. You can't do that. You need the second town center at the back of your base. I would only really build oh god, and all those villagers have to walk so far. Alright, yeah, so this is where I think you need the most help. Is this transition into the mid to late game? No. You are at a disadvantage. You're at a disadvantage. Your skill is very good, but your score is lower than his, so you cannot go in here. So no. He has nothing but counter units. You have to look at it that way. He has counter units. He has a castle, and here's a fundamental thing that I teach in all my videos. I hope that you've seen more than my Night Rush tutorial, but he's going to build a second castle. Why are you going into the castle range, sir? Don't do it. Stop applying pressure. You are just you're digging a deeper hole for yourself. The game's even. You had a colossal lead, but now you're falling behind economically, and now you're falling behind militarily. Your opponent has a huge just counter army. Alright, there we go. That's what the third town center should have been. But you should not be pressuring him at all. You're never going to get through those castles unless you make like 5 battering rams. This is never going to happen. Never going to happen. When you see that castle come down, you go to Imp. That should be a priority. Defend at home, go to the Imperial Age. And you can't defend at home because you never built any town centers. And stop running into the castles. Just keep all those military units at your base. You could maybe keep like 1 or 2, maybe outside his walls if you wanted to catch him on the escape. But yeah, I mean, like your first thought should be, and I reiterate this all the time. So I don't know. I guess based from our conversation, it doesn't sound like you've actually watched that many of my videos at all. But this is what I need feedback on how to organize them because I don't know and. People don't often give me feedback in that regard. But these are talking points that I reiterate a lot. There's no reason that you should be pressuring him at all right now, no reason that you should be making crossbowmen at this point. Your opponent has 2 castles, a huge army, and now has a 1,000 point lead. I think you've lost about 15 crossbowmen, I think, to those castles. And again, obviously this is all easier in retrospect, in hindsight. But the point of coaching is that I'm trying to change the way that you think about an Age of Empires 2 game. When you see your opponent gets up a castle successfully, you're not gonna be able to like raid them or pressure them that much in the Castle Age anymore. You're not going to, especially when your opponent has a strict counter army to you, which are eagles. And oh no, don't go in again. There's no reason to go in again. You need to protect that town center that is really riskily placed at the front of your base. I think that town center there is potentially fine because you can just strip mine all the gold before it inevitably gets trebbed down or killed with eagles in the Imperial Age. But it looks like your opponent's just going to go to Imp and just kill you with Elite Eagle Warriors. I assume that's just what's going to happen because that's what the play should go. Because he knows that you can't raid him, And the problem is if he decides to raid you a little bit now, you have absolutely no defenses. Absolutely none. I have no idea why you're attacking right now. Imperial aid should be a huge priority. That's why I'm glad to see that you are, going really, really heavy on gold. Here's the thing. There's no reason for you to move this army up right now. None at all, because should an engagement happen, your opponent not only has units that are faster than you so you cannot escape, but you cannot bring your mangonels in for the sneaky attack, so you can't deal with the skirms either. There's absolutely nothing that can come out of this exchange besides putting you even further behind. And you need those existing crossbows for the Arbalest upgrade when you get to Imp. So you're on your way to Imp hopefully soon. It looks like you use the market very well, which is good. That is a piece of advice I give quite frequently. You should not be building any farms at that town center at the front of your base. I'm actually glad that I'm able to give you so much advice, because generally speaking, whenever I coach players, they're of a significantly lower skill level, because usually people like quit before they get to about this point, because it gets really frustrating for them. But yeah, no, there should be no farms at all at this town center at the front of your base in the middle of the map, because it's just going to get raided by your opponent's Eagle Warriors. Your opponent's playing the Aztecs. He wants to make elite Eagle Warriors. Now, Mines vs. Aztecs can be a little tricky, because without plumed archers, it can be tough to deal with the elite Eagle Warriors. Because the +1 attack bonus goes through armor, but even that's not good enough. That castle placement is really bad. It needs to be right between the two town centers that you have in your base. Like, this is Resonance22 101 right here. And I really hope this is helpful for you. I really do. Because this is Resonance22 101 right now. That castle needs to be between all of these town centers to protect you from getting raided by Eagle Warriors, because you are not walled off. Putting that castle where you did accomplishes absolutely nothing. The guy's just going to run right past it and kill you. The Mayans don't have great answers to opposing Eagle Warriors besides Eagle Warriors of their own. It looks like you are making Eagle Warriors, but I would upgrade them to Eagle Warrior before I make the Eagle Scouts for the creation speed. But it doesn't make a huge difference at this point in the game. So yeah, I mean, you want like Eldorado Eagle Warriors and like plumed archers. 200 swordsmen are fine, but yeah, see, this is once again why this castle placement makes no sense at all. No sense at all. You need to the point of a castle is to do one of two things. You are either pressuring your opponent, protecting a meaningful position on the map. This protects no resources at all. It protects like a lumber camp that you just decided to build there. You could have built that lumber camp anywhere. And you don't have a wall off, and that thing's just treb fodder. You want to think of a castle as, first and foremost, it should either, one, be applying immense pressure to your opponent in the early castle age before the game goes to Imp, and it gets trebbed, and then you just die. That castle will die. So that would be when you castle drop something. Or you need to use it as a way to protect your eco so that you don't have to pull back all your crossbowmen like this. And you instead, with the combination of your town centers and your castle, by using the castle's range to cover your town centers, you get less idle time and you don't have to pull back your military. No handcart yet is a little bit concerning. I really need to see that elite plumed archer upgrade prioritized. But sure, yeah, you can get out of trap. You somehow got to Imp first, so this is another point in the game. Okay. So you got to Imp first. This is another point in the game when you should just win, ideally. Because, okay, well, actually, instead of Elite Plume, you were making Eagles. I mean, I guess, yeah, you could just go straight for Eldorado Eagle Warriors at this point, and like a Trebuchet, and you should be fine. The thing with making Trebs immediately, I suppose, so getting it out the first Treb is important because it allows you to win the Treb war, and your opponent has several castles that you want to Treb down to get through those defenses. You have no way of getting through them otherwise, and then you can just run roughshod over his economy. Here's the problem. You have no way to actually win a direct engagement. Your opponent has Eagle Warriors, there's an attack bonus for your siege, and you're just going to kill the Treb. So, yeah, I mean, I guess two-handed swordsmen are not the worst thing you can make in this matchup, I suppose. But, yeah, I think, like, Eldorado Eagle Warriors and Plumed Archers are a good idea, but, two-handed swords, I suppose, can conserve gold, I guess. But it's a 1 versus 1 in Arabia. You have map control. You can just mine all the unsafe gold on the map, and you should just be able to kill them before you really have to worry too much about not having that much gold. And those Aztec Eagle Warriors, they don't have that much health. So you got them first. Yeah, I mean, the first castle was also really late, because it's like 44 minutes in the game, and, man, it just all goes back to, there were no town centers for so long. So long. I haven't watched that many of your games because I only have so much time, and anyone who does coaching charges far more than like $20 a session. Like, they charge a ludicrous amount of money. But I do this because I love the community, and I really appreciate the support. So, because there's so much more that I have to talk about. The general idea is Your eco is so far behind here because those town centers were not put up early enough that it delayed your castle. Like at this point, I'd expect you to have 2 castles, one protecting your eco, and it would have been built faster too if your villagers didn't have to walk to it. But you got the imp first, so let's see. Okay, look, if you go for eagles at this point, I'm trying to think. You go for eagles. You don't have any plumed archers at all, so if you get elite plumed immediately, I think you lose because you don't. Because your opponent's probably only like a minute or 2 behind on imp, given that he's been booming. So let's see. Your opponent is probably not too far behind you. All right, what do you do to seal the deal? Okay, you have to get like what, Arbalest and Bracer and maybe the regular Eagle Warrior upgrade because your opponent still has a lot of elite skirmishers and like maybe a trebuchet or 2. I wonder if you get conscription before the treb, but no, I think you get like make a treb and then get conscription, get Arbalest because that's what your entire army is at this point, and then like the Eagle Warrior upgrade, and then you just I think you poke him with the treb. You can always send in 1 unit to scout. I mean, let's see how this plays out. But yeah, you're getting raided because you have no castles, no walls, no nothing. Yeah, you're transitioning hard into Eagle Scouts. Oh, see, that's the thing. This is like so slow. You have all these crossbows. Oh, get Bracer. No. Get Bracer. Get Arb. Get Bracer. Get Arb. And okay. All right. He's an imp. All right. Never. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Well. All right. Let's find them to transition into basically just Eagle Warriors. God. If you're going the 2-handed sword approach, by the way, and you don't have that much mobility, then you gotta have defensive castles, or you're just gonna get raided by your opponent to death. Yeah, he was not that far behind in imp. That's really unfortunate. I mean, here you just need more castles. You just need way more castles. You need more stone. I don't think you can engage him yet, but he's not gonna have the elite Eagle Warrior upgrade. I would recommend hotkeying all your military buildings to a hotkey, and then that way you can change the gather point really easily by clicking on the minimap. Okay, good. You did get the Herbalist upgrade. I need to see Bracer, like Prano. You don't have enough villagers. I don't think you ever finished booming. You need 100 villagers at this point in the game, definitely. Like, it shouldn't take precedent over the Imperial Age, but now you still need to be creating... no conscription, no conscription, no conscription. Against the Aztecs, who have 15% faster military unit production, that is going to be fatal. And hopefully we're going to see some food being sold here for Elite Eagle Warrior, and we're not. Alright. You also don't have tracking, which means that your Eagles are going to... it's not that important for the Eagles, but the Squires will be. And tracking will still matter to be able to see those skirms. Damn, this is gonna be really tricky here. I mean, hopefully your opponent like doesn't. Okay, you have to get Bracer before all these things, especially against all those skirms, and to be able to actually scratch the. Oh, you should not split up your military units. No. Okay, so you cannot afford to make these type of aggressive plays when your base is being. Oh, I've noticed that you're not even looking at your base. Actually, are you aware that you're under attack at this point in the game? And oh my god, and you could be building another castle. You're building another castle to protect your base. You're not aware that you're under attack. Oh my goodness. So I think what's going on here is you're spending, and this is another thing that gets a lot of people kind of frustrated with Age of Empires over time, is that it really, unless you become a god at Age of Empires 2, which takes, it's like a full-time job in itself, since the game requires like so much practice and time, is that it really becomes like an economy simulator at a point. You're spending a lot of time looking at military units, not looking at your base. Yeah, now you're floating tons of money, and that's, I smell an elite plumed archer upgrade, because it costs food and wood. But you don't have a second castle protecting your base, you're under attack by Eagle Warriors. Yeah, so this is when it just completely fell apart. You could even mix in the skirms, because your opponent's not making that many Eagles. For some reason, he just loves the model skirms, I guess. Oh god, yeah, this is just no castle in the base. Yeah, and then your military units were left unattended. That's unfortunate, man. That is unfortunate. There are multiple opportunities where you could have won the game, and hopefully it showed you... Hopefully my commentary was really helpful. I mean, wow, he's making two-handed swords. That's fantastic, actually. Yeah, he's going to just mow right through your Eagles. Alright, yeah. Good of you to call GG. Definitely good of you to call GG. I think that... I think you played really well. I gotta emphasize that, man. I think you played very well, Dmitry. And I think that in time, with enough coaching, with enough practice, then you will be able to rise through the ranks. You're a really aggressive player, potentially a little too aggressive at times, but I don't think the men-at-arms upgrade was a mistake, honestly. You got the breach. The big mistake, the really big mistake, was this. This was the biggest mistake. There are 3 skirmishers here. You have enough archers that you can pick these off. I don't know what upgrades you or he has, but assuming he doesn't have padded archer armor and you have fletching, which you should 19 minutes in the game, you can kill these 3 skirms. Killing like 2 villagers is not worth trading your entire military advantage. Like, this is a point where you have a decisive lead. You got it. I do not think the men-at-arms upgrade was a mistake. I think you transitioned very seamlessly there. Very, very seamlessly there. And this was good. But you saw your opponent making skirms. You opted not to make skirms of your own and go to the castle age, which I think was totally fine. But then I feel lost, because once you get to the castle age, you keep making crossbows even though you know your opponent has gone hard into skirms. And we know our opponent has gone hard into skirms because he's not in the castle age. He's nowhere near it. And I think that is, like, really, really significant. Now, obviously, massing up the crossbows you can do kind of fine against the eagles, but not fantastically, because they got 3 pierce armor in the expansions. But it just doesn't work well against the elite skirms. So, and yeah, the mangonel, the mangonel crossbows, because we don't know he is eagles yet. We don't know that. So this is fine. But there's a point, I think, where you commit. There's multiple points where you commit really, really hard, and you don't have to. And there are so many points where the town centers need to be there. So it's mostly like taking fights you can't win. You just cannot win. And your town centers came up really late. The economy was weak. There was not a point in the game, I think, where you had enough villagers. I think it would be helpful in your videos as well to show your achievement, like the post-game achievement screen, because you'll definitely want to review that yourself. Like, your military control is great, your builder is great, your actions per minute are great, and hopefully the reason that you requested my coaching was to improve your thought process. Yeah, I'm even going overtime here on this. Yeah, it's supposed to be like 30 minutes, but I'm giving you extra time, man. I hope you appreciate it. And I hope that this helps you out a lot, and that you also understand that you are very good. It is okay to, like, don't let that get to your head, but, like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to lose games. I don't know that much about you yet, because you haven't interacted that much yet with the subscriber chat and community on my stream, but yeah, like, I don't want you to be the type of guy that gets, like, demoralized by losses like this one, where you just beat yourself up and you're like, I'm so stupid. No, you're not. And on the flip side, you don't want to let things, you get to your head. So when I tell you you're really good, just use this as a way to keep your morale high, but know that you can always improve and practice. The skill gap in Age of Empires 2 is one of the biggest ones in any game ever, in that the worst player is so much worse than the best player. So take pride in that. While you may feel like you're below average or whatever, that's not how averages work. The average Age of Empires 2 player is utterly terrible, and you could beat 6 of them. However, the expert players could beat so many, potentially less. So it's an interesting little dance, and some of it just takes, like, insane reaction speed to be able to get that down. Here's another engagement that this didn't need to happen. I think you handled it pretty well, though. You managed to protect your mangonel. Like, your micro is very good. Very, very good. But, these crossbows were miscontrolled because they ended up pathing into there, and those ones were just dead. And, again, the other thing is you really needed a castle to protect your base. I think about right about here. Sorry for any minor background noise you can hear. Yeah, it's at about this point in the game is where this is a good, well, not this point in the game, but, like, this is a good spot for a castle. So, again, I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please let me know, because I spent a really long time on this, and I didn't really have any time on Monday, but I wanted to do it for you, man. So, thank you, Dmitry. Hope you have a good one, and, yeah. I look forward to, keeping in touch with you in the future, man. Age of Empires 2 it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. But I think it's a game that's also, well enjoyed if you keep a very open mind and you play with friends. And we've got a really awesome community here that I hope you enjoy being a part of. So, Take care, man. Hope to see you around the future. Thank you for your Patreon pledge. Hope to see you next month. And, just best wishes, happy holidays. Keep kicking butt, Dmitry. You got great fundamentals, man. So, yeah. I also appreciate, you supporting the content I do for other games and just being nice and mature about that. I had a wonderful time talking with you. So, yeah. Thanks, man. I also want to use this as a moment to thank all of my Patreon supporters so much for your continued support. It really does mean the world to me and allows me to continue producing YouTube videos. I also really appreciate the support for content I do for games beyond just Age of Empires 2, as variety is the spice of life, and it really helps grow the community, and I really want to do what I'm passionate about. This was something that I really enjoyed doing as well, and Dmitry did request that this particular commentary be public, so I did decide to share it here just to show the kind of coaching that I can do. But I do also want to note that when it comes to coaching, this is a very different style of coaching than I normally do. Generally speaking, players approach me who are quite new to playing games online, so I'm really, really gentle with them. And if you are new to games and you'd like some help, for example, building a Pokemon team and learning that, or learning the basics of Guild Wars 2, for example, then I absolutely love to take you through it step by step and make sure that you have the best time possible. When it comes to Age of Empires 2, it definitely helps when the games are 1 versus 1s, and I'm not exactly sure how many of these I should be doing and what the general thoughts are, but really this one is for Dmitry specifically, and just also as a way to thank all of you by giving everyone some extra Patreon exclusive content. So have a wonderful holiday season once again, everybody. Best wishes from Resonance22.